All right, we're going into Overpass between Counterlogic Gaming and Rush, and we'll be getting that underway in just a few seconds. But before that, you should meet my counterpart. His name is Vendetta. He will be here with me for the remainder of the night. He did just drop the deuces on y'all like that.
That's what I do.
You got to drop it like this, dog. What up, yo? Anyway.
Damn. Like, what part of town are you from?
South Alabama.
Anyway,
the point is, we're going into Overpass.
Yeah.
And we did just see, just kind of not a blowout, so to say, but we did just see
a bit of a stomp.
A show of dominance, a show of force there by Counterlogic Gaming. And I really personally can't expect it to be much differently.
No, and I think that's fair of you, honestly. Even though we're going into a map where Rush have, in the past shown, I guess, promise when it comes to, what they've been able to perform really in EPL so far this season. This has been their best map. I don't think it's fair to expect, that kind of similar performance. They don't have Little Man anymore. The big strength that they had going into this map was the fact that they were working well in synergy as a team, as a unit. And obviously, I think, just having to change one man could be enough to stir that up entirely, and I don't think you obviously can afford to have that kind of a slip up happen versus a team like CLG, who are just pound for pound much better than you.
And yeah, I mean individually, pound for pound. If we look for player, CLG definitely on top in this in this battle. But I mean, who's to say that we don't go into Overpass and you've awoken the sleeping giant that is Rush?
Well, sleeping giant, yeah.
Okay, maybe a sleeping like shorter giant, not like the tallest giant you can think of, but
no,
shorter
one. Like a medium-sized giant.
A medium-sized giant. Would you rather fight 100 horse-sized rushes or one rush-sized horse?
That's a tough one. I think I'd go for the 100 small ones actually.
Well.
You can step on them, kind of like Kusta did on Train. And I think that's kind of the recurring issue that they're going to run into, the fact that they don't really have any answer to any of the operas on CLG side. Silent, sure, he had an okay game in terms of just getting a number of frags in on Train, but it wasn't necessarily with the op. It was not in duels versus Kusta. So where do you go from there? Kusta had so many openings on that T side of Train just over and over again, and I think we're going to see something similar on Overpass too.
Perhaps we do see something similar. Let's take a look now with Eric de Beer Stromberg at Counterlogic Gaming's Overpass.
Hey guys, welcome back to Stromberg Strategies. We're going to take a look at CLG and Overpass, and instead of highlighting what they did right, I'm going to highlight what they did wrong here. As you see right here, Immortals, I've been noticing they're known for using less utility, more in spacing, more in timing of using bodies. You can see only 2 Molotovs and a flash. They completely take away the B-bomb site. Ricky and FNS caught completely off guard. Good for Immortals. CLG, your reactive team, you have to have someone counter flash, and you have to have like steps to where if one of your teammates gets mowed down, at least stall them so your teammates can come help you. Right? If you lose 2 right away with no kills, you're going to lose a bomb site most likely the round. You can see here CLG is trying to force retake it. FNX playing really smart around the pillar. He's not really trying to get kills, but he's stalling long enough for his teammates who, when it was long B, just maneuvering around. Okay, right here. A couple rounds later, CLG's down 1-5. I like this play. I love it. They take control of finds. You see right here, they send 4 people in this part of the map, okay? 4 people, but here's the problem. They start falling back. Look at them fall back. Why would you waste utility, manpower? You're down 1-5. You have to do something a little extreme, maybe some out of the ordinary, and take control of the playground. Take control of Fountain. You sent 4 people, but now you fell back. You left FNS and Cutler in a weird spot. Can't really exchange for them that well. Instead, send a couple people through playground, clear it out, and then fall back through connector, maybe force them in the B. But you leaving A puts everyone else in a bad spot. And now, instead of taking over one side of the map, you took off 0, and in the end, you put your teammates in a bad spot. You can't help them out. As you see right here, Kusta and Ricky have to fall back. They're playing weird spots. Nadi's all alone in B. You see Immortals is about to hit B, completely outplayed by Immortals. And Nadi, he has nothing he can do. He just gets ran over. And now it's turned into a 3-on-2 situation with all 3 terrorists being in sight. Bomb's about to get planted, and they have 2 alps on the retake. So good luck ALP retaking if the team's never going to peek you. So have fun with that one, CLG. So I guess something to take away from this, if you're going to do something aggressive, see it through, guys. Follow it through, play it out. If it doesn't work, find out what went wrong. Maybe adjust it a little bit. you can't just have a game plan where you take over something and then fall back for no reason, all right? Especially if you're down in numbers. Just see it through and go through it and just have confidence. Have some balls in your play. Yeah. Back to you guys.
It's definitely something to note there when we look at a team like Rush. They battled their way through the Mountain Dew League to this Pro League season. And actually a great system overall. If you didn't know anything about Mountain Dew League, check them out, esea.net/MDL. Or if you're like me, you type the whole damn URL in there, play.esea.net/whatever.
You still do like HTTP :/.
I still use wwws. Apparently those don't exist anymore. But either way, that's not
keeping it old school. I like it.
Yeah.
You got to stay true to your roots, right?
I try to stay true to my roots as much as possible. Some people that are most definitely rooted deeply where they're sitting. Let's look at the commentators now who are standing by to join us in discussion. Now, what is there to say about a team like Rush coming through the Mountain Dew League, not really, finding a super solid footing in the Pro League? What would you say to them as a coach, Daze?
Well, it's a good thing I'm not a coach. But I would say, like just off train, a couple of things they could learn from is probably just not giving up that first kill so much. Kusa was just kind of running wild on him. But at the same time, I don't know how much this team is really practicing. I think they kind of know their situation. They know they probably, I believe, how many teams are getting relegated, Blue?
Up to 3.
Or are going to play in relegation matches?
There's 2 that play in relegation. 1 gets auto-relegated.
Okay, so almost certainly they're at least going to be playing in a match like that. I'm just not sure how seriously they're taking the game right now, to be honest. Roster issues on their team. I don't know, because when I watch them play, I don't see a team that's like super well practiced or anything. Just kind of going through the motions,
Yeah,
it's not very inspiring, right?
They're definitely in a rough situation. They could be even a rougher one here as we do see them going to Overpass. We're going to throw it over to you guys now so you can give them all the action.
All right, thank you very much.
To expand on that a little bit, it's, like throughout that CT side and T side, do we see one setup that kind of looked like, hey, these guys, probably practiced this and kind of went over it, and everybody has their own bases that they're covered, and, it's very well thought out. We didn't see any of that. We didn't see any this isn't working, let's try this setup where we do a double op here and give up this and take a risk like this. We didn't see any of that.
Their T-side was essentially just like a bunch of default A setups of different variations in the player stacks. That was about it. Well, we are into the second map, though, and they're going to try to rush their way through Monster. Essentially, 4-man push with 1 diverting, I think, through construction. Well, they do hit their first couple kills here. It's being traded back. FNS with a flick onto Ruru. Just deletes him from on top of the right pole there. And now it is going to be down to just 2 left alive here for the Rush members. They got onto the site initially, but now they're battling against a much superior CLG force. Still keeping themselves in the match, and Blade's going to get aggressive. Into the pit he goes, but losing a teammate in the process now brings us down to just Blade. Ricky can hang back in the tunnels and wait for Cutler to get into a better position, and that seems to be what they're going to do, is just set this up for, at the very least, the trade. Cutler is going to end up waltzing right in, gets the casual 1-tap to close out the pistol and give CLG their advantage in the second map.
Cutler just looking, just like, it's just too easy, man. I can't be asked.
So the strong lead that CLG held back in the first map has the potential to continue right now into the second map here, as they just go right for the SMG buys. Rush obviously not finishing off the plant that they were going for there, are just going to force into the second round now. Tech-9s and Deagle for Toy, and a PT-50 for Silent. Of course, he's saving for the op, but nothing too spectacular, nothing that CLG hasn't already shown that they can handle based on the first map's results.
Yeah, nice little boost. I love plays like that. Just any opportunity to make a 45. But they get caught running out of there. 3v4 right now. Kusta kind of backing up, gets killed through the smoke. Rush has a huge advantage right now if they want to take the site. But they do have Toy kind of lurking out, so he's probably going to scout out B, see if it's an over-rotate. And if they did over-rotate, he'll call his teammates back. And if not, and he fights like one person, they could just go towards A.
So now the rest of Rush is trying to go for their group up downstairs over here and make their push to the bomb site, as CLG still just trying to hold the 2 players in here, but Ricky takes so early on. He's going to get pushed by this monster guy too, so that'll knock him out pretty quickly. Now it's just Ethan who has to quickly kind of snap back down through the tunnels, but he's not going to be able to get into a position of power quickly enough here. Rush with that full control, more than likely we are eco upset and see them coming back 1-1 right at the start of the match now. Just waiting for Ethan to kind of make his last move as he lines up for it, but when Aegis does go across, he kind of misses his opportunity. And if he goes into pit unawares of where Toy is hanging out at, you know, he's trying to molly for someone in the pit, but I'm not sure if he realizes that Toy is going to be sitting behind the wall here. So just a slow battle, trying to do as much damage as possible. And when it's for certain that he can't do anything else, he finally commits to their retreat, but by that time, Toy's already pushed halfway up the sidewalk and is going to be able to knock him out anyway.
Yeah, and it is worth noting that this is probably Rush's best map. I mean, whenever we watch them on this map, they take it very slow on T side. They kind of, you know, they know how to take bathrooms control generally without getting picked off, take map control pretty decently, and this usually is like their best map. So CLG, you know, they shouldn't be underestimating Rush, even though that first map went very, very well for them and very poorly for Rush. Rush is a much different team on this map compared to every single other map, I'm telling you. They really are.
And now it is going to come down to Rush destroying things here in CLG's response round. They did look like they forced into it here, as you can see a few Deagle armor still left up and about, but Kusta now going to get mollied outside of the connector, and Ethan already being taken care of. All Kusta has control of his water, and he's been pinched here too. Aegis has the lower tunnels, is going to be able to push out against him, so there's no room left for Kusta to do anything. This is going to be a Rush shutdown to go 2-1 and hold the advantage at the start of the map now. Kusta really just trying to do as much damage as possible, has the opportunity to do so and hit some nice shots, but is now going to be pushed by Aegis from the connector to finish off the round.
Yeah, and I think, you know, CLG, you're going to be playing maybe a little bit too loose because of Train, but I'm telling you, this is one of the maps where CLG is still much better, don't get me wrong, and they should win this, but if they kind of play too loose, they give up too much too early on, and, you know, start buckling down later on and taking it more seriously, then they could definitely lose this match. Rush really is a much better Overpass team than they are on other maps, so they need to take it seriously, and they need to not underestimate this team.
Yeah, CLG now just forced into basically a full save here. The only purchase is Ricky's Zeus that he goes for here, whereas everybody else on Rush is taking it nice and slow, in the event that CLG did try to line up for something aggressive in this round, but not going to be the case. They're actually holding pretty passively, just a big stack of players down in the B-bomb site, and Ricky watching from the connector, and more importantly, listening from the connector to see if he can spot them pushing upstairs in the meanwhile. But in a second, he's going to get challenged off here in the corner, but this is also Zeus territory. Oh, misses it though. Big swing to the right, and also a big miss.
That was a freebie.
Yeah.
And I also do want to note that FNS is playing very well. You know, going back to Train, not just statistically, but, you know, seeing the shots that he was hitting, not missing those shots, the nice pistol round on the CT side, he had a couple good kills. When he's kind of informed that way, and he's hitting his shots, and he's playing at the level that he should play at, CLG is a much, much better team. When they play against good teams, sometimes he tends to disappear a little bit, isn't the most consistent when it comes to just like aiming left to right mechanical skills. But when he's there and he's, you know, having an impact in that area, CLG is so much better because he really is in a lot of those impact positions and spots.
In the meantime, we're also going for the buys and buy now, so it seems to be spreading a little bit. We saw it from nothing yesterday, and now Ruru picks it up, and he'll be able to get a double with it, just mowing down some of the players from CLG really quickly with essentially infinite ammo.
I mean, look at how much money they have. You got 8, 7, 2 guys with 10K, a guy with 5K, and you're already fully bought. So, I mean, they're looking fantastic right now, and a great start to this game after that second round win for Rush.
Into this first gun round, Rush, obviously, as mentioned before, still going to be working with a lot of SMGs, but money to support that, so it's not a big deal in terms of their overall economy if CLG does just cleanly close out in this first round, as they're going to have no problems at all rebuying into it.
This is great.
This triple stack?
Really good stuff. Yeah, I mean, just all these opportunities that you get to die and make it 4v5 in the other team's favors. No, I mean, if they, wow, if they just get that set up earlier than that, like, it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, Rush, unfortunately, although they make it 4v5, they don't know how to make the correct reads. They don't play it patient enough. If they would have waited for Toy to get out there, smoke catwalk, they basically have a free site and a free plant, but instead they kind of force it through Shorten.
Yeah, so now FNS is going to be on the outside here. Ethan as well. Well, FNS will be burned outside of Tox, actually, and Ethan having to run further away inside of the pit. Losing his teammate in this situation, but Ethan's able to hold strong. Fortunately, Silent was able to dip in and pick up another kill, but now he's alone in a 1v2. Up against Ethan, though, just lines up the shot. It seems like he gets a little bit too curious about what would be happening on the site. And now Cutler has to try and clutch this out. A smart move being made by Silent. I think he is going to try to divert this up to A, and got around the corner just in time. I don't think Cutler was actually able to spot him. He should be able to realize pretty quickly what's happening, though, and follow him up. And obviously the 100 versus 14 HP battle is still going to go very heavily into Cutler, but with how slowly Cutler's now going to end up rotating through here, it is going to give Silent, you know, a good 5 to 10 seconds to sit up in any position he'd like. He goes aggressively, though, just lines up in the bank, but this could work out. Essentially a roll of the dice if Cutler decides to check over here from the bank or not. It is looking like he's going to take that route. Silent spotted Cutler's foot, but Cutler may have seen something as well, but no, he doesn't. So Silent lines up the headshot and clutches it out for Rush.
Great job by Silent. So whenever you're in a situation where you've been battling, right, for an extended period of time, like Silent and like Rush was, if there's a guy alive and you fight somebody who's not flanking, right, and that guy doesn't help him and try to trade that kill, I would say like 8 out of 10 times that guy is flanking. Silent recognized that, and you'll see it on Overpass even more than almost every other map, right, where the rotations are kind of like that, where, you know, at A, for instance, right, if you're fighting some guy at jump up and you've been battling for a while and all of a sudden nobody comes bank or jump out, you can almost be guaranteed that the guy's flanking, and you could plant for CT spawn and take spawn. And that's why kind of sometimes you'll notice in clutches and you'll be like, it'll be a 1v1 and the guy's really late, but he's not flanking. If you just sit and like CT, like say he had sat graffiti there and Cutler was in that situation, he just sits there and doesn't do anything for like a while, Silent's either going to plant for him because he thinks he's flanking, or he's going to do what he does. So the mate is kind of changing that way.
The lineup from Cutler early on will connect some damage onto Ruru, but nothing significant as he continues to take chances on it with the Deagle and missing out. Rookie is going to move into support a little bit here from Connector, and they do have quite a few players up on top, but Silent, cautious of this one, is peeking very, very preservatively now as he moves in, is able to finish off Ricky, and obviously has Cutler on the run further back in the bathrooms here. Just a slow path forward. Nice shot from Kusta, though. Finishes off the job against Silent, but Blade as well, quick on the response, leads us into a 4v3. They're trying to heavily stack towards A, but even so, with just these pistols, probably not going to be looking at a very high success rate, and more than likely Rush just continuing to take this slowly, assuming they do that. Should still be able to cut out this round, pick up a 5th for themselves. FNS, great hold, just runs out of ammo, as we all know the real curse of the CZ right there. Akis trades it out as he does run low, but again, damage done to Ruru before we see that kill actually rolling back in. And now Ethan, well, he'll get smoked out over here on top. Okay, Ethan just hits the shot anyway, right through the smoke, taking down Akis, and that leaves us into an evenly position 2v2. The gun's still going to hurt CLG quite heavily, though, and they're trying to put Cutler in a position to flank, but I think Toy's already watching for that. And another smoke just moved in towards him. That one's not going to be anywhere near as effective, though. That's pretty easy for Ethan to just walk right around that. But he has to be very careful in the repeat, because now he's lost his intel. He doesn't know exactly where Ruru's going to be positioned at, let alone Toy, as he could still very well be out on the site, too. First peek, Ruru hits the headshot to respawn, taking Ethan out. And Cutler now not even going to be going for this. He's found an M4. He's going to sit back and save.
Yeah, so a successful eco round for CLG, but at the end of the day, it is going to be 5-1 to Rush with a lot of money on the board still. So even though they did have those 3 deaths, you know, that second round swing round, man, they won that. They won it pretty clean, and the money is just so built up.
Yeah, it's Blade. Again, we can see him being one of the players that moved in early on there to take it nice and slow. A pause is going to be called now, I believe, by CLG, as they're falling behind quite significantly. Not even really in a lot of these gun rounds putting up a huge fight. You can still see some of those money totals over there on Rush are really stacked up. I think it's like 12 and 15K on 2 of their players, something around that. There's a better picture of it. Silent's max money until he bought right there. And Blade's still sitting at 12.6K before he buys down. So that's a boatload of cash for these teams to be working with. It was a relatively quick pause from CLG, and it has already been resumed. So we're going right back into it now as both teams do engage in this gun round.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the direction that CLG's kind of going at the start of these rounds, going for these boosts to make it 4v5 and things like that. I think that's a really, really good way to play on CT side of Overpass. It's just a little sloppy. They didn't get the triple boost down right away. It took them too long to set it up. The boost in blue, you know, they get it down, but then it's not coordinated, right? They come out of blue, Kusa's not really helping them out, and it was just a little bit of uncoordination in both those spots. But the idea I like, just not the execution.
We can see now Rush is going to be trying to line up just outside of Monster again. The big 3 stack getting prepared to push into the site. Ethan close up against the wall. FNS just holds on his own, though. Doesn't even need Ethan to jump in there for support. The bomb's down right in front, and they just smoke it back off. So already...
It's just too easy for CLG. Just too easy. I mean, you're jumping through a 1x1 doorway. You haven't put any A presence, so they still have 3 at B. And it's just too easy for them, especially like that. That's if you do your homework, you know, last time we casted CLG, Ricky was pretty much in this spot almost every single round. So...
Toy doing his best to stay alive. Picks up a nice double kill at the end, but unfortunately not going to be able to hold a full-on 1v5 there. So round closed out by CLG. They preserve the double op setup too as they pick up the dropped one there at the end. And they bring it back 5-2. Now still a long ways to go. At least 1 or 2 more full gun rounds here before they completely break rush.
Nice spray transfer on Lakis. I feel like if we know something, Blue, the teams that are playing against them should know it.
Wait, what?
Like if we could catch on to something just by, you know, all the things that we see from matches, and like, you know, we know Ricky loves opping on that pillar, like he does it all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
The other team should be able to catch up onto that who are playing against them.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
No, I completely agree. It is weird though that there are these like patterns, but you don't often see it utilized that well, especially here in North America.
I actually think that's like, it's weird. You know, you talk about anti-stratting and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think the best type of anti-stratting isn't even necessarily looking at strats. It's looking at like player tendencies and knowing what players in general like to do and when they like to do it and why they like to do it. And that, like, to me, is like the best way of anti-stratting.
Mm-hmm. Because if you can read the player and know exactly what he's going to do, it's very easy to predict like the setups overall. So Cutler is going to make a move. Oh, gets them both lined up as well.
We're seeing that more and more often now. That player that is playing close to flowers, he doesn't let you exec. He just timings it where he's the one to peek and he's the one to get aggressive.
Well, Blade's going to move in and try to look for revenge, but Cutler's in a completely different position now. Way back. He does catch him retreating, actually. I wasn't aware that Cutler was falling way back to the site. So Blade's going to be able to get a little bit of damage. The volley is going to force him back up. Kusta actually misses the shot, but the pressure that's sent out from both of them is enough to kind of push Blade back. Meanwhile, further down over here by Water, Silent is able to successfully challenge Ethan, and Toy has a free path now to move in from Monster.
Necessary aggression. Gives up the site, so we should be seeing a plant.
And Toy's going to be able to go for that. Unfortunately, Silent's very low, so he is going to have to sit back and not really be able to actively support. They've got to wait for Blade probably to rotate back down from the other side. Toy, nicely done though, just sneaks out from the smoke, catches Kusta in heaven. He'll have another opportunity to kill a player too. It's going to be Cutler up on top. Fails to notice it though, so it's Cutler and Ricky both moving in there to be able to punish Toy. Now they've got a stack outside, you'll notice. Silent on the bottom, Blade is going to be sitting right up on top of him looking for shots, and Silent being able to spot it.
Sick boost.
Yeah, he just missed his chance to hit a kill. And now as they do move in, FNS just closes out on those last 2 players.
Oh, I actually think that was a really smart idea by Rush in that 2v3. I like it a lot. Unfortunately for them, I mean, I'm not sure who was in heaven, whether it was Cutler or FNS. They just almost never came out of it, right? And then they still had a Molotov for short as well. But I actually really like that idea by them a lot. I think that was pretty smart.
Yeah, it just didn't really work out in the end. Just never really got the peaks that they needed, so doesn't pan out. Great attempt though, and they're still in the buy for this next round, as we can see. Full AKs in the op, along with utility for them. CLG are still working with that double op setup though, and it's been very, very powerful for them, as we've already seen. Ethan going for the spots early on, does see the early water pressure control being taken, and now they'll be able to set up to counter some of this out, along with monster pressure I match too, although monster defense is currently a little bit light. Thankfully though, they've still 3 men down here, so it's a pretty heavy defense, as you usually expect for the B-bomb site. And over on Rush, just another big stack as well towards Water position. They've got Ethan up on a boost, ready to punish. Silence just out of range, but thankfully for
Great
Ethan.
Stuff, man. We're seeing a lot of good plays from both teams right now, actually.
CLG is going to get that peek right back in their direction.
That was like really, really sick what they just did. Like really sick.
As they do boost up, but don't necessarily go directly for the peek, actually. I think he was crouched at the start there.
Yes, he was crouched. They threw a flash over, and then
So he's able to punish there. Responses are coming back in now for the Rush roster. Blade and Akis both hitting their entries now, and it's going to be Ricky left alone within the site, but he gets quick reinforcement from Cutler, able to hold off here, and now left to a 3v1 again. Just Toy. He's been actually pretty okay around this position by Toxic on it, as you can see. Sneaks in that kill in Akusta. Nice trade from Cutler, though, as he moves in with a quick deagle headshot to close out the round.
Yeah, now this should be the last buy for Rush, and then they should be forced on a save if this happens. But This is the type of CS I like to see, man. Like, I'm learning things. I like it. I'm seeing really good stuff. Like, that was an awesome way to make it 4v5. He's jump spotting to see when they're there. Then he sets up the boost. He gets into it in like perfect fashion. I'm no idea why Rush is saving right now. Gets into it in great fashion. Like, if they definitely should buy here. But yeah, but I mean, that was just a really good play, man. I'm very impressed. I really am.
Well, Rush for this round is going to try to make a fast bout for the A-bomb side. Everybody already pushed past Flower Pot, essentially. They've got one guy going up short A. Everybody else is trying to move in through long. CLG know this, too. You can see they're laser focused on long right now. They are going to have to be a little bit cautious. There's still one guy short.
It's like, they're all here.
It's a surprise for Cutler as he just peeked that. Somehow gets out without taking any damage, though, as that was a quick peek and a quick kill that he picks up. Now he's going to be pressured, though, and it's a little bit too close up for comfort here. But still, the round itself very much in the favor of CLG, as Akis just decides he doesn't want anything to do with that long push. And we'll try to probably just hold back and see if he can catch a couple players getting over-aggressive.
Yeah, but can we take a look at Rush's money real quick? Yeah, so this is after they like bought a lot of Tech 9s and stuff. I think they could have had 3 AKs. And, you know, this is like one of those swing rounds, right? If they win this round, they're going to force CLG not on an eco, but a really bad force buy. So
I think the only one that really couldn't buy fully was Ruru. Everybody else,
yeah, they had a
2,700 plus.
I think, yeah.
After spending what should have been like 1,500 to 2,500 on each player. So they could have at the least had ump setups, and yeah, there's that crazy peek from Cutler again, where he finds a big old stack of players. But still, eco round overall for Rush, just not able to get a whole lot done. Now they're back into the gun round, and they've got it fully stacked up with AKs, the off, as well as utility for it also going on as silent, so not having to sacrifice anything here because they took that really preservative save in the last round. Still slow to actually move in for any control, though, as you look at everyone on Rush. Just moving up and kind of statically placing themselves outside of the upper tunnels by the fountain area as they move in. Probably group up and push this as sort of one big movement to try and get control over both the connector and the bathroom area here. Kusta, oh, dirty flick onto Ruru. Looked like he was dead to rights, as Ruru was going to be able to crouch peek into that, but not the case this time. Kusta still holding strong in this matchup and is able to once again secure a 5v4 advantage early on in the round for CLG. The rest, though, still proceeding with this plan. 3 guys pushing into either short A or the bathrooms now. Cutler going to smoke it back off so he can either push forward or just peek that a little bit for intel there. Not going to be able to spot much yet, but CLG looking very patient. Kusta again off angle initially, but flicks right back to. He's got to be careful of that peek from Silent, but thankfully for Kusta, he misses. And Cutler not only picks up Akis, but continues forward to find Silent, and it's just Toy now in a 1v5. Round's over. It's going to be CLG taking the lead, unless Toy makes something magical happen here.
Yeah, so they win this round very clean, and CLG looks like they're back in action after a very slow start. I mean, I think they were down 5-1 if I'm not mistaken. So 5 rounds in a row so far. We see money bonus comes out for Rush, so they're going to be able to pistol half armor, maybe even force here if they want.
And again, shots from Kusta as he's seeming back in form right now. They're being maybe a little bit more silent at the beginning of this map. Onto another eco here for Rush, though, is actually it's more of a half buy as they do go for both players on Tech 9 armor. Silence on one that doesn't get armor behind his. Ricky and FNS swing into action, though, immediately at the beginning of this round. Ricky even bailing out his teammate. Again, another half buy hit from the guys on Rush. Just goes absolutely nowhere. Blade comes in with the last kill, but it's Ricky that's the big story here with a massive 4K and just puts Rush down to the ground as they attempt another monster push.
Yeah, so very quick and easy for CLG. In the past couple rounds, they've won really clean. So we'll see what Rush has in store.
Again, getting themselves onto another buy here, but similar pacing as last time, moving towards, or similar pacing as some of the past gun rounds, just moving over, trying to move over towards water. Problem is, look at this from Ricky now. Maybe a little bit too close for comfort there, as he does end up walking right into the face of Ruru, who's going to be expecting that, and definitely is probably going to be hearing that too. Able to take out Ricky. And now it is going to be the guys from Rush that hold an early advantage. Akis also gets himself into a great position to punish Ethan, who swings out thinking he can find himself safe harbor behind sandbags, but someone had already taken that up. And it is going to be Akis who puts him down and puts us into a 5v3 very early on in the round. And Akis, along with quite a few of the other members of Rush, are going to basically have free access to the entrance by Monster here. Even trying to push back in, though. FNS ready for a response. You've got Cutler waiting for within the pit, but he's not going to be as successful. Only dinks one player, but immediately goes down to Toy. FNS still up until that point when Ruru is going to be able to punish him, and now it's going to be Kusta in 1v3. Already at the site, though. He's going to smoke. He's going to molly. He can certainly try to go for this. He's had a first kill, though, to act as an entry. Moves in, flanking around Toy, getting right up close to seal the no-scope. Spots another one on the jump, but I don't even think Ruru realizes it just yet. Does take up positioning from behind the box and saw yet another player from behind the pole there if he caught onto it. So he's going to get aggressive, tries to swing around to take down Silent first, but Ruru read into that and punished him before he could successfully get behind the cover of the pole.
Yeah, so Rush kind of breaking that streak after losing 6 rounds in a row. Able to win off the, punishing that B aggression by Ricky and Ethan. I think Ricky should have got that kill, but he was just full speed. Like, they weren't even going to be in that tunnel. Like, they were just going to be on the outside of it or something. If he was just scoped there, he probably gets that kill pretty easily.
Just tries to take a forward position. And is punished for it. Why quick action on the side of Rush, and now they'll get their slight advantage back here if they can tie it back up and take the lead out of the first half. Good for them if they can keep a good consistency on CT side. CLG trying to something a little bit different, though. They've never really been this active out from A, and they've got a 3-man stack and connector right now. Or excuse me. No, it is a 3-man stack and connector, yeah. One sitting up at the top of the steps themselves. Kusta, though, has no problem knocking out Toy, as he's just trying to shift walk his way up the steps. Akis, though, responding onto Kusta and also finding Cutler, too. That entire setup falls to pieces. Now, FNS not been detected yet, but they might as well molly that back off just in case anyone tries to go for a quick rotate. And just like that, this entire map gets split through into 2 halves. CLG not even really going to have the ability, for the most part, to even start this retake. So if they go for it, this is going to be rough, and more than likely Rush can pretty easily shut this down.
Yeah, we'll see what their money is if they even should go for it. So they can buy the next round, so I definitely understand if they want to.
It's the last round anyway, so.
No, it's not. It's one more.
Well, next round is the last round.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now they are going to try to push up against it, but like I said before, Rush set up really well, though 2 trades from them. Ethan and Ricky finding that even it back out, a lot of time's been wasted, though, so they can't slow down anymore. And it's looking like Silent's going to be good for at least one more of those last 2 kills. Time is out now, though. Ethan knows it, so he's backing out from the site, picking up the op on the way out, and they'll let Rush scatters together one more. What's even better is Blade lines up for a last shot as well. It denies the save of the op from the CLG side.
Yeah, so they are still able to basically get a full buy. I mean, Cutler's probably going to have to ump up, but you know what? Ump is so strong, and he still has like full utility. It's pretty easy to fit that into your setup and make it work when you do have, 1 or 2 umps.
So, getting into
but Rush not having a bad T side. I mean, it was looking a little shaky after they got to 5 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
But these couple rounds in a row that they've won, they have a chance to win the half actually.
They've bounced back quite nicely, so now it's just going to be about how they can carry through onto his CT side here. Kusta getting himself into another battle. Second one as well.
He's just getting manhandled by Kusta. I mean,
I still don't. Has there
every duel Kusta wins?
Has there been one that Silent has won yet? I still can't recall a time where Silent beat Kusta in a 1v1 with an op.
I don't know. Silent just has like this mental block that he just cannot succeed versus this man, but Kusta gets the better of him every time. And I mean, Silent, he shot first. He just missed somehow. Because he just double scoped on an angle, which shouldn't happen like that.
Ricky noticing the door open. He did try to take some shots into it, but unfortunately, he didn't come out too successful, and the response back was quite strong.
Yeah.
So he's going to end up down at 7 HP, probably having to play more passive role on the B site now. For the rest of Rush, though, it does scare them off from the bottom connector, at least for the time being. Because obviously still 40 seconds left. All this combo that happened with them just the first 10 to 15 seconds of the round. So they have plenty of time still to set up for something else if they want to go for it. Again, decent damage being done to a few of the players from CLG. Kusta from his earlier battle still down at 28, but can also still hold pretty aggressive positioning while remaining relatively safe from further back behind the APC. He does decide to move up a little bit now towards the dice box, and this is where things are going to get a bit more challenging when most of his support is going to be coming from a player essentially just sitting in a one-and-done spot now as Ethan posts boost up here, spotted by Blade, doesn't even get the chance to find his 1 kill. He'll be knocked out very quickly by Blade, and that re-evens us back up to a 3v3, with Kusta deciding not to really challenge the initial push into the site, as the guys from Rush don't really move in to take active control, focusing on the plant first. They just go for that behind the dice box plant so they can kind of fall back to long and inside of the bathrooms here. Problem is Akis, a few seconds after that, did decide to go forward to semi, but he had no support system set up. So flashbang to his face, he's knocked out, and there's no immediate room for a trade. Toy knows he's being pushed, he's going to look for that, but still knocked out from 2 different directions, as he was in the open for the players on the site and in the open to the guy in the bathrooms. Now Blade, though, is going to be able to sneak back out in the open, denies the defuse, missing on a second one, and this will force him back, and buy the time for Kusta to move back in and successfully defuse the bomb, ending the half in the favor of CLG at the very end of it. They will take it 8-7, ladies and gentlemen. It's a much closer map than what we saw back on Train. Rush certainly has the fighting spirit. We'll see if they'll be able to proceed forward to steal this map away and make it 1-1. Stick with us, guys. Second half is coming up in just a few minutes right here at the ESL Pro League.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, Legion Lenovo, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
Well, we're back again, ladies and gentlemen, here for more action at the ESL Pro League, and it's still CLG dominant, although Rush certainly put up a great fight at the beginnings and sort of middle end portions of this half here. CLG came in for one more round and was able to actually take it 8-7, but still much, much closer than what we had back on Train.
Yeah, but I you know, as good of a half that was for Rush, a lot of it came down to the fact that CLG, a couple of those rounds, you know, really didn't have the right communication when it came to like that triple boost, when it came to losing the second round, going out of blue, wasn't coordinated properly. And you kind of get the feeling like if they didn't lose that second round, they didn't blow that round, we would have saw like 11-4 or 12-3 or something like that. So I think a little bit of the success of that half from Rush, you know, a little bit of it was definitely, you know, like COG's kind of fault, right? Just being a little bit
We're loose at the beginning of the map.
No, they weren't even really loose. Like, they were definitely trying.
Yeah.
You know, just bad communication, you know, and things like that. Just a little bit off. Mainly just communication issues, like trying to force like that boost, for instance, and where it wasn't doing it right. When they went out of blue, that was the swing round of that round was like really the biggest issue. Now it looks like we're just going to see a long B rush.
Yeah, same thing that Rush did, but the thing is Rush is going to challenge it head on, and it does not go well for them.
That almost never happens.
A straight line of 3 corpses, and Kusta even counters out the rotator from Connector. So it's just Toy, just like that, 4v1 within like 10 seconds.
I mean, it was basically a direct counter to what they were doing. You're coming out of a 1-by-1 doorway. You're fighting 3 people that are going to peek you in that, you know, little tunnel. Usually only the first guy could even shoot bullets in that situation if you're a T. So what the CTs did was basically a direct counter, and even then, COG wins the round and wins the round very clean.
Yeah, so Toy obviously not really going to be able to do much. He's even got like a kit in the smoke, so probably just going to line up and try to punish anyone that would hunt him down, but he can still be useful with these items going into the next round with them more than likely forcing up, so he'll choose to save that instead. Actually,
yeah, it went by really quickly. To even know what happened that round was a little bit difficult to see exactly how those skills went out, but generally if you're the first guy on the CT, you never want to just stop short in that situation. You want to swing all the way around. Because first off, it's obviously just pretty difficult. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, so these guys kind of line up, right? So if that first player swings wide as he can, he could just keep USPing and just strafing and just spamming his bullets. He's going to be really tough to hit. And then those other players of his are going to just get such free kills. Like, it's going to be so easy for them. And that's how you want to do it. Instead, all 3 players basically peaked the same spot. And it was just a slaughter.
Yep. 2 of them directly behind each other and a third slightly off. So CLG was able to punish that very quickly. And now they're taking it nice and slow in this round, as Rush is actually trying to force into it. But there's a big flank, as you can very well see, coming in from Toy. And he's lining this up incredibly early, too. So this is going to be good potential for another upset here, as Toy lines it up, doing massive damage. A double kill off the Deagle, goes for the third, and he gets it. Now, all of a sudden, it's in Kusta. But it's down to a 1v2. Kusta takes the risk. Now he's out of ammo and has to run. Thankfully, the guys from Rush are pretty well far away from him. But there's one up on the platform now. It's Blade that moved in from the pit. Not sure if Kusta's checked for it. He's going to have a surprise right in his face. He's ready for it. And now he spotted the new location from Silence, who's going to try to flash into the pit and finds the headshot. So that we can still see success from CLG and not get ecoed right in the second round again.
Yeah, Blade with just an incredible flank. I have no idea how he even got there. Or not Blade, excuse me, Toy.
I think he just went straight through the connector tunnel.
Or blue?
Yeah.
Blue connector Z. What are we calling this?
What, connector? Just connector.
Oh, just connector?
Yeah.
Okay. Vendetta calls it Underpass. It's a lot of different names, man. There's a lot of different names. Oh, there is. Stairs, you know?
Yep.
Like, there's like 5 different names for it, let's be real. But, you know, Blade should have actually won that round. When he was behind that pillar, he should be hiding. And Silent is basically his entire job is to spot him. And then when Kusta actually commits to something, Blade could just go around and shoot him inside, essentially. And that's what should happen. But him killing Blade first should never happen in that scenario.
Well, CLG are going to have a pretty easy path to controlling one of the 2 bomb sites this time around, because they've already moved in and taken full control of B while only having to dispatch of just 1 player from the Rush roster. Ricky has himself a nice double kill down on the connector 2, and now, in all reality, we're just going to find ourselves in a few skirmishes to knock out the last remaining players on Rush, as CLG do push forward to their 11th round. Silent, not even looking like he may even find anyone here, as he does decide to just move out and get himself into combat.
Like, where is he right now? Why is he so far away?
I don't know.
He's just trying to, like, just hope someone runs around with a knife out.
I think he was maybe more hoping that one of his teammates got a kill and he could kind of move in to pick up a gun, possibly.
Well, regardless, they do get a good buy this round. We're going to see the double ump from CLG, which I like a lot. Let's see if there's any head armor.
Nope.
I'm telling you, the ump strat. The dedicated umper. I say it every cast. It's it needs to happen.
Well, it's 2 umps and 3 AKs for CLG.
Even better. The double dedicated umps.
Totally just going to turn into everybody using umps.
I mean...
4 umps and 1 off is just the new meta.
Yeah, it's a pretty good gun.
Well, we've got some aggression this time posted up out at A long from Rush. In fact, a very heavy amount of it. So much so that if CLG, in theory, wanted to, they could actually just walk right up through a short A and have free access to the site without having to challenge anyone on Rush. And they may very well just end up doing that. We've got 4 players moving towards Connector now. Obviously, the usual wait out here, as they're going to throw up a couple pop flashes and whatnot to try and clear out the bathrooms, but there's no one in there. So it's going to be relatively easy to accomplish that task. They will just have to watch out from the bathroom connector here, make sure that nobody pushes on them. Cutler moves in towards it, but ends up going right into the out barrel of Silent, so he's going to be ready for that first pickup. Ricky not choosing to challenge it, but I think Silent is going to go in for it, and it's not just him either. Silent misses the shot. Ricky ends up really kind of confused in that situation anyway, so Ruru is going to be able to finish punishing it. And now the bomb is coming, but it doesn't have to make sure it doesn't get cut off by one of these players on the flank now, as Kusta holds Dink down to 9 HP though, so he can't stay in the open. Ethan also front forward to counter any of the B rotates, but this is a very delicate hold that they now have on the A bomb side, and they need to make sure that they continuously are able to look for these kills, as even right now, Ethan getting aggressive, but the problem is he didn't watch out for his flank. FNS is ready for it, and Ethan to pick up a kill as well. Both Blade and Akis go down. Now it's a man advantage to CLG, but every single one of the players has been lit to a certain degree. Kusta and Ethan, a very heavy degree. FNS has to be front and center for this battle, as Silent wraps back in, trades onto Ethan after losing Toy, but now he's going to be alone. They're both just sitting back in very safe positions. FNS as well, ducking down. Silent's not going to be able to spot that. Oh! Silent just flicks onto FNS, though, and finds that kill. And now going inside, doesn't check the close corner, where Kusta is going to be able to be waiting, and we'll be able to close out that round.
And it started out really well for Rush in that 3v5 actually that round. But it took them so long to get back to the site, and by that time, the rotate wasn't there from Rush to, watch anybody coming to the site for whatever reason. And they just get these advanced positions and just get these easy kills because of it, which basically makes that 3v5 nullified, right? Ends up 3v3 pretty much instantly off Kusta, and I think it was FNS.
So now Rush end up in another save situation here. Just going to be working with upgraded pistols. They do have quite a big stack sitting over here on the B bomb site. Cutler, not being able to catch one. It'll be traded out with a kill into Finesse, but CLG seem to be adjusting their pace appropriately here as Ricky kind of slowly moves in for a bit of control. Again, another 1-for-1, but 3v2 overall. There is a flank coming in from Toy, but I believe CLG are aware of it and are paying attention to that possibility as they now just smoke off construction here, preventing Toy the capability to, kind of quickly rush back in and try to shut this down with the AK. And in all honesty, with the AK in hand here, there's not a whole lot that he can do without armor or a decent stack of utilities, so he's going to fall back to save it instead. That's going to put CLG again into great positions to try and continue forward and have another quick close out to this map. 13, really only leaving 1 or 2 gun rounds more, where Rush can actually try to fight back at this scoreline before CLG kind of closes things out here.
Yeah, CLG is in pretty commanding position. I mean, it's going to be 13-7. They're going to have a lot of money. And I think we're seeing, what we kind of thought, right? What we all predicted. Just CLG, just the better team. They really are the superior team.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rush obviously getting the cash. They'll be able to buy into this one. Should be able to get like the op and everything too. Silent's just going to buy that up on his own regard. He gets full utility. So definitely not lacking in anything, but need to bring something of substance to the actual round itself. Otherwise, CLG are just going to snuff all over them again and crush up to 14. As they do get aggressive once more when you look at Rush, sending down another player inside of the connector. It's a short-lived push, though. So it really just kind of dips back down to throw in a flashbang and is now more focused on watching out to see if they're going to try to push out from Fountain quickly here towards Party. Ruru also going to be supporting that, but it's mainly just a hold right now, so Rush don't want to get too aggressive, as that may end up getting punished by CLG, since they're still holding a good 2 or 3 players back here at the Fountain position, watching out for this. Toy's got a great spot, though. It's self-boosting himself over here to the top of Party, so he's going to be able to punish Cutler and FNS by hiding behind that rock, and immediately starts this off 5v3 in the favor of Rush. Great stuff from Toy. Now they just need to finish it off and find these last 3. As actually, it is looking like in a moment, Ricky's going to get just free access to B. All he has to do, is take down Aegis. There's no current presence in Heaven. Blade, though, with a position right outside of the connector, is going to stop the bomb from rotating in. So a very split 2v4 now, and Ricky's going to try to get aggressive, but Silent also able to spot that, and now just Ethan left alive.
Yeah, and his whole goal right here should be exactly just trying to get as many kills as you can. Like, I don't even think you should come out here only 20 health. Except he does end up getting another kill. I didn't think he was going to get that at all. So that's fine if you're CLG. You killed 3 players. Yeah, they survived with 2. But you know what? If you win this round, you're going to break their economy, and you're probably going to cruise to an easy victory. Toy, he really likes the spot. Whenever you watch them play, if things are going rough or whatever, he usually gets up there and is really good around there. We usually generally see him multi-frag, actually, when he does get up there. But the problem is, that's like a once-a-half thing, a twice-a-half thing, right? It's really tough to have that work for you multiple rounds and a half.
Yeah, and already at the beginning of this round here, Ricky is going to be taking a little bit of damage from, I believe, an HE grenade tossed out against him, so he'll be down to 60 right off the bat of things. And I'm not just looking at this either, but there's once again another heavy presence here towards that B-bomb site, and a more aggressive presence out from A. So Rush going to be able to get themselves a lot of intel. Perfect spray lineup from Aegis too.
About 150 damage right there, even more.
And CLG still just stuck outside of both Construction and Monster, trying to find their setup and how exactly they want to go into this site. Very much sticking to the plan. The good news for them is that Rush hasn't gone beyond, you know, the usual aggressive positions like in Bathroom and Long A. They've been trying to move in to sort of investigate and find that there's nothing on the other side. They've got this boost up happening too, and Cutler, I'm not sure if you noticed it, but someone just jumping over the wall. Ruru definitely did spot that position, so he's trying to spray through it and find them. They know they're here for sure based on the monster stack from earlier too. Another Molly goes inside, but Ricky is able to hold just a corner position there where he can actually punish Akis without having to push into the Molly itself. Blade, though, trading it back, brings us into another 4v4, and you can't forget this damage that was done earlier. Flashbang out, Blade able to push in for one more, but also trading it once again is going to be Kusta, finding an additional pickup here. Flight coming out from Toy. Again, only one, though, continuing to find these trades. CLG stay in the match because of it. Now's the real test, though, is getting onto this site where both Ruru and Silent are set up really well, and both of these nades don't hit anything at all. Silent hits his shot. Ruru is an easy one to hit against Kusta, not even checking for the toxic position. Rush will close out and continue on the warpath to make a comeback.
Yeah, and CLG didn't show any presence at the other side of the map, like you said. And because of that, I mean, the rotate comes, Toy gets a flank, everybody could just kind of rotate. The CTs just delay, delay, delay. And by the time they get into 2v2, Ruru just hiding at the barrels is going to be something that nobody's really going to check if you're CLG. So see, that puts CLG down to pistol armor, Kusta just on the block, kind of just hopping around.
And with CLG just stacked up into it, Tech 9 purchases for the most part. We are just going to see them spreading out across the map. Really on, not really trying to take massive control besides water and whatnot. Kusta very actively pursuing Long A, however. In fact, he's already passed the fireball. Problem is, he just has a Glock, and he's all alone. So Ruru in a peek towards Long is going to be able to spot that, take him down. And the others trying to swing in towards B. Ethan hitting that first shot there, and they've got another player pretty well lit too. It's only one bullet needed to take down Blade. All of a sudden, with just sending Kusta up towards A, they take full control of B by knocking out 2 players. This boost too could work out really well if they don't hear it. I don't think Ricky made any noise getting up here, but we'll find out in a second. Ruru is going to be pushing out towards it in a moment here. And in fact, Ricky, after that nade toss out goes in, he is just going to decide to roll right in himself. He knows he's still recovering from that, and he can get the free kill. FNS spotted, though, so he could be a dead man in a moment. Needs support from up on top. Ethan finding one more before we see that trade from Silent, but now he's alone and being chased outside. He's stuck in this little hallway here. Nice no-scope, but cannot recover in time to be able to pick up that second one. So Cutler trades it back out, and CLG steal this round away just off of Tech 9 purchases and send themselves up to 14 rounds.
Yeah, and I mean, just based off the economy, you'd think that's going to be enough to really do it. It's going to make it an easy road probably for CLG to win out. We're just going to have 3 pistols, 2 umps, 2 pistols, 2 umps, and M4, but very limited utility on Rush, and it's looking pretty bleak for them at this point.
Yeah, Rush with this scattered by are going to try to play up aggressively. Toy's been pretty on point with the Deagle. Looked like he was actually going to be able to get that kill at first against Cutler, but at the very last moment, Cutler does respond, survives the encounter with 12 HP. And so picking that up does give CLG early control of the man advantage once more. But after seeing that aggression, they are going to hold for a few seconds here just to make sure that Rush aren't trying to do anything else. They do still have heavy presence around this connector, actually. This could be dangerous if Akis is able to time his own peak properly. They've got 2 guys up on the steps, another guy down below. One trade, but also the pinch coming back in from Akis. And indeed, at the end of the day, Rush, while they do pick up the kills and maintain control of the connector, it still ends up in the favor of CLG, partially at least. But FNS and Cutler heavily injured, both one-tappable, and Akis is going to make a move. And in fact, moving in takes down FNS, but caught reloading. Kusta trades it out again, and now leaves everything on Blade to clutch 1v2. Thankfully, he's at the right site, and has the right read on this right now. And before his opponents are able to actually get away from him, he's going to be aggressive and start to push into the bathroom to prevent them from just rotating back down. Problem is, he could very well just end up walking into his own death in a second here.
It's really smart by CLG.
As they're just holding for it, and in a second, if Blade continues further up this connector, Cutler is going to be there to spot for it. Just take him right out of the play, as we see there with Kusta.
That was really, really smart by CLG to kind of just stop and wait there, because really 3 things are going to happen, right? He's going to push, and he's either going to push behind you or into you, right? That's 1 or I guess 4 things, right? That's 2 things. He's either going to push behind and go to the other site, or he's going to push into you and probably die, right? Mm-hmm. That's 2. The other one is he's going to stay there, and then you just have a 2v1, right, at that site. Mm-hmm. And then the 3rd one is he's going to rotate to the other site and gamble the other site. So out of those 4 options that he has, 3 are super good for you if you do what they did. So that's why it was a good play.
Yeah, and Rush, unfortunately, put against the wall here now. Even with the buy they have, this pause, I doubt it's going to have much effectiveness. Unpause now, so we will be getting back into it, but as you can see from the buys in a moment here, it's a Scout, a single UMP so far, and then 3 upgraded pistol armor purchases, and only really 3 of these players are able to get a decent utility stack going, and it's still only just smokes and flashbangs. No Molotovs, no HE grenades. Meanwhile, CLG are still stacked to the brim with everything that they needed themselves. It's a fast split from CLG, 2 up to the fountain, a few more down outside of Monster here. Pause to make sure that Rush don't try to force anything upon them. Then we can see CLG really set up anything from this point forward. Rush has decided to gamble stack on B for this round, is putting forward in that site in hopes of being able to hold it back off, and even sending the A player aggressively out, but that's going to change pretty quickly as Aegis kind of falls back just to a usual spot on A now. It is looking like we are going to see Rush try to push out a bit more aggressively here into water after a bit of a delay. Obviously not really hearing CLG make any moves besides getting close up to Monster, and they still haven't actually changed that up either. So just being able to implant Ruru, obviously Silent supporting the push itself, but they're just going to leave Ruru in there for right now, and FNS kind of testing the waters back over towards A. Cutler's going to do the same too, now that they've actually spotted Aegis out, but he connects on the first run and then just re-peeks for a second. Cutler is not ready for that one, it seems, so now FNS is going to roll in, but he's got another battle up close that he's got to watch out for here. Very messy spray, so Aegis is able to switch back over to his pistol and pick up a second kill now. Ricky finding the first trade over here towards the B bomb site, trying to look for a few more, but Blade is actually going to be caught. However, he's able to go into the smoke. No one spotted him. Gets a double kill before going down, and all of a sudden, this is just Ricky alone. Left to a 1v2, prioritizing the plant over everything else as Rush do try to quickly rotate back down, but Ricky actually did get a decent amount of time because Rush completely bypassed Heaven. They're both trying to move in from CT, so he's got all the time in the world to get back to this corner, safely kind of set back up, and just let Rush push on him so that he can dictate the terms of this 1v2 to the best of his own ability, even as a Molotov as well, to try and throw over that bomb. But Silent going to push back out and immediately does shut this down. Successfully wins out the 2v1 for Rush, and they will push up to 10 now.
Yeah, and if I was Ricky, I'd probably be thinking that they might not have a kit, actually. So I'd probably be playing that round a little bit differently. But they do have a smoke anyways. I was thinking maybe using that Molotov when they get on the bomb. Wouldn't have worked anyways because they did have that smoke. So he just kind of hides in the Monster. But this is a good play by Blade. Kind of goes inside the smoke, then runs out of it. Always a strong play in those scenarios.
So CLG, though, still having the cash flow to be able to buy in once more. As Rush, again, try to play more forward this time, but immediately hit by a flashbang. I believe, I'm actually not sure which side that came from, but regardless, it sends Silent back inside of the bathrooms. Even further back than that towards the site. So CLG are going to have a pretty easy time, again, moving up to set up in this round, as they're not going to be having to fight for bathrooms control or even long A control anymore. Rush kind of been getting a little bit more adventurous and pushing out there, but that early flashbang sent them reeling back towards the site, and now they're going to be posted really far back with a 3-man stack up here. And only 2 down on B, but they're a very active 2. See Aegis and Blade pushing all the way out towards water, taking this control, getting a whole lot of intel in the moment too. As soon as they do spot that, you know, the Monster area is completely open for them. So they could potentially line up another flank right now, so these guys are towards Connector, and really just tell the A guys to basically get ready because the entire heyday is going to come their way in a few moments. So we don't even have a lurker messing with us down on B right now, so you guys really need to prep for this one. Toy going to the corner. Cutler's going to check that. Okay, it was a little weird. Cutler still gets the kill, but fast trade from Ruru, and now FNS comes back in, claims the second kill from CLG. That is going to clear out the site. Note the flanks, though, that are still very much going to be coming in primarily from Aegis. Blade takes the normal route, goes back to the bomb site, and is going to swing on the other side to be able to support Silent a little bit better here, but also have decided to send a few players back and watch out for flanks. Unfortunately, it's short A flanks, not long A flanks. These guys leave themselves in the open. It lets Aegis just pick up a quick double kill, and the tables turn right back. Ethan still being able to hold with Ricky, but now Ethan basically having to solo watch out for the flanker moving in. By circumstance, has to swing over, but ends up working out as they pick up 2 more kills. Silence alone now with the AK, and Ethan just trying to dodge him, waste as much time as possible as he does have the kit, and he's doing a great job at it here too. Forces him into the fight where he'll close out on it anyway, and CLG do close out 16-10 as the final scoreline. They'll take this match 2-0 tonight.
Yeah, pretty basic A execution at the end there for CLG. Nicely executed, though. They breached the site. The smokes just keep any rotators away. I think Silent was the third guy there. Was just there and just goes into a wall of smokes after his teammates are dead. Can't really force the issue and make anything happen. So CLG pulls it together and they end up winning like we thought they would from Rush, but still a pretty good showing from Rush.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, even being able to get double digits, I think is good for them. And yeah, that was a pretty good match. I mean, that was a lot better than what we saw on Train. We saw a lot of cool things on Overpass, a lot of neat things from CLG, decent plays by Rush as well. So I think that was a good game.
All right, we're going to send it over to the analysts now and have them break down the second and final map between CLG and Rush.
Well, most certainly a little bit better of a showing there in the first half of that map than probably the entirety of the last one.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a closer bout. Again, though, I think CLG deserves a lot of credit for making that a possibility. Again, this is something we saw versus Immortals as well. Their second round defense on CT side, not the strongest one. This time, they get caught out with 2 people on the outskirts of Restroom with no clear goal in mind for the better part of it. That allows for Rush to get on a bit of a 5-round streak on that T side and kind of set up their first half in a pretty decent way. I think if you avoid that, then it's very likely that we see a much more dominant half coming up from CLG. But, you know, got to give credit to Rush for actually taking advantage of the situation. And, of course, they have to win actual buy rounds, you know, following that too. But, yeah, obviously still stuff to work on the side of CLG on Overpass.
Well, let's take a look at round number 19. And one of those situations I think you described as WTF Rush.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because first off, this setup here initially is just really, really weird. I've never seen anyone stack with 3 people towards A long because it doesn't make any sense at all. The guy playing tree at best is coverage for Restroom, but it doesn't really give you anything at all. So even though they do find the first 2 opening frags here of this round, they have no way of actually falling back towards the bomb site. So at a certain point, you've negated 3 players on your own side for the favor of 2 frags. So already you're off to a pretty bad start. In addition to that, the guy who's playing most forward on Rush's side here, if he's going to do anything at all, he has to wrap around the entire side. He has to come through Restrooms immediately instead of being the 3rd useless guy to rotate in towards the site from long. So from, you know, the base setup initially from Rush does not make sense. So even though they get 2 opening frags, they don't benefit anything out of it. It's literally just like a setup you make up on the spot because you think initially like, oh yeah, this seems to have merit to it. But, you know, when you look at it, you know, a bit more thoroughly, you can see like so many glaring errors with it and how you can be punished by it. And that's pretty much what CLG recognizes immediately. Like there's a heavy stack on A long. That means site is 99.9%, you know, open, most likely. Most of the time, that site's going to be open, and they're willing to take that risk because they're at a 3v5 situation, right? They have to take a bit of a leap of faith, and it pays out, or it pays off, immensely for them. And stuff like that is obviously, an issue that you shouldn't, or like a fault to your setup that you never really should have.
Well, first and foremost, Counter-Strike in terms of team play is all about reading into the vulnerabilities of your opponent.
Yeah.
And really exploiting them to your advantage.
Yeah, that's what CLG did.
Yeah, and then there you go. I mean, you start gaining rounds, you gain momentum, you control the economy game, you can run away with any match.
Yeah, and this was again off to a great start for CLG on their T side. Getting into the groove of things. So this was like their 4th or 5th round for that half, or 5th round of that half. So just kind of spurred on their momentum and that streak that they had going.
Well, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break here in a second, but let me remind you first. Head over to youtube.com/ESLCS where you can find all the latest and greatest VODs, the chillest clothes, the freshest restaurants.
The coolest setups, too, if you want to check out what Nate did on that CT side on B-Bomb site.
The hottest dudes. Anyway, yeah.
Well, so, yeah, obviously.
youtube.com/ESLCS. Anyway, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going into Complexity and Misfits, and we're going to see them face off on Cash. We'll be right back.